you.
I forgot that.
I'm doing what?
That they see you face on when you, I think the camera's out here, so you don't really have to look up there.
Yeah, the camera's right here.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have to look both places.
It is a little disconcerting, but I think, do you think it's working now?
No, it's trying to lose. No.
There it is.
Yep, that's me.
Can you-
Okay, so it's going to work.
You can
Jenna.
start there. Thanks.
All right.
And so I can use the buttons on?
You can use the button. So that the one with the arrow rubbed off is the one.
Okay, before you start the time, I'm not the professional on this.
Exactly.
I can do on this.
We're pretty loosey goosey on the
So
side.
let me know when I'm ready over there.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
just start the screen.
Okay. The 5 minutes is the stressing factor. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm here to request that 100 Women this quarter supports the new floor that they're trying to get in at the Spark, the South Peninsula Athletic Recreation Center here in Homer. And it doesn't do it. Will this do it?
Try the roller ball.
Yeah, and you're pointing towards a computer here. That's what it's
Oh,
yeah,
there you
there's
go.
a-
Thank you. The mission statement for Spark is promoting a healthy community through play. Spark was originally opened 5 years ago, and since then, they've had over 56,000 visits to the facility. It was built through money that was donated from the community, as well as grants, as well as a lot of in-kind labor, and also donated materials. The original floor that was put into it was placed on top of sand and gravel, and it was used out of Anchorage, and this is a sample of it. It's plastic squares. The trouble with that is that they heave with the thaw and freeze cycle in Homer. So it creates an uneven surface that isn't really manageable for people with any kind of mobility issues. Also, it's never been able to be cleaned. It's not smooth, and it has uneven surfaces between them. The new floor that they're trying to put in is the same floor that's currently at West Homer Elementary School, which is 25 years old. This new floor is supposed to last for at least 25 years. It will be smooth, it will be easy to clean, and it will not freeze and move because it will be put onto cement. It will be much better for people with vision or mobility issues. The floor costs $480,000, and that might sound like a lot. But right now, Spark has pretty much gone through every step with the Murdoch Family Foundation to have them pay 50% of it, $240,000, including an on-site visit, which means that they're very interested in that particular grant. In order for it to be presented at the meeting in January to the Murdoch Foundation board, they need to have 40% of that pledged before that point. That's 96,000, and they're actually very close to that. Because of the history of having a lot of volunteer labor, that would also count towards that 40%. Our bid, if we gave it to them this month, would be not only showing our support for them, but it would also maybe push them right over that 40% and allow it to go in January. I wanted to put up here an example of what takes place at Spark. And just today, which is December 1st, they had a walking session, they had a child parent play group, Connections was there for gym time, they had Zumba, they had an open gym, Heidi's Booty Camp, pickleball, and ultimate frisbee all in one day. And I have copies of the schedule here if any of you want one to take a look. They lease the land that they're on from the borough, and part of their lease agreement is that 7 hours a week are required to be donated for free to school groups, and it's been used by all of these school groups so far. They also are available to rent, and over the period of the 5 years, it's been rented for a lot of activities, including celebrations of lives, birthday parties, camping trips. So then I wanted to show you some slides just of things that happen there, and I think the walking is pretty neat. It meets once or twice a day. It's a good place to walk safely with friends and have that companionship, especially if the weather's poor, but also it's a good place to rehab if you've had knee surgery, hip surgery, if you've had a stroke, all of those activities. The other extreme of age group would be the top parent group, which is partnership with Sprout, one of their partners. And not only do the kids play, but the parents bond and have like a whole new community with each other. Other activities include Zumba. During the pandemic, it was a really good time for the middle schoolers to have a place that they could gather. Youth hockey. Pickleball, although they can't use regulation balls because this particular floor doesn't work with it, the new floor would work with that. They partner with pickleball with Pride and with Trails, which are two of the other partners with Spark. They also do, I don't know much about futsal, but I've been told it's indoor soccer and it's done by kids, but it's also done by adults. Heidi's Booty Camp, which is a weight training activity. I have no clue. It looks like fun, but I've never tried it. They also do partnership with South Peninsula Hospital with things that we used to call Walk with the Dog. They also had All Things Recovery Coalition there, and a hospital sponsors free yoga for this whole month, once a week. The people in town can just rent the place. It's been used for kickboxing. It's been used for wrestling. It's been used for a circus, motorcycle vendor, contra dances. And so my request is not only would this be a really good way to make our donation double, but it's timely and we'd be investing in the future of Homer for many generations. Have fun. If you want to schedule. How long was it?
You were just over 5 minutes, it was perfect.
Oh, that one? So you don't give any warnings? The timer is just 5 minutes?
Oh, you didn't hear that?
Oh, it used to hold up.
Oh, the
30
little
seconds.
cards. Yeah, but then I like let it go. I cut people off a minute.
Oh.
Okay, and Claudia is up next. I'm so glad that pointer worked.
I know, it's like, well, I'm gonna have to send telepathic messages to Kara. Hi, everyone. Okay, so good evening. So in June of this year, when Roe versus Wade was overturned, women everywhere were shaken by the potential implications of that decision on access to reproductive health care. Here on the Kenai Peninsula and in Homer, where this photo was taken, we felt the loss even more acutely because Planned Parenthood's Soldotna's Health Clinic, the only other standalone reproductive health clinic on the entire peninsula, closed its doors several weeks earlier. So why is this important to talk about tonight? Because
I don't think it's on the slideshow yet. It's not on slideshow. It wasn't working before with slideshow.
Oh, there you go.
I just moved it. You probably keep me higher.
So why is this important? Because Kachemak Bay Family Planning Clinic, pictured here, a community supported organization that began in 1983, is now the only sliding scale clinic dedicated to providing low and no cost sexual and reproductive health for all genders on the whole Kenai Peninsula. So think for a moment, where do adults and teens of all genders go for low and no cost in-stock birth control, emergency contraception, unbiased pregnancy options counseling, gender affirming hormone care, PrEP and PEP for HIV prevention, and sexually transmitted infections treatment or testing and treatment. So their choices are now extremely limited. The closing of the clinic in Soldotna impacts the entire peninsula, including Homer, Ninilchik, Anchor Point, and our neighbors around the other side of Kachemak Bay. So in response, KBFPC has doubled our service area and the population we serve has increased by 74% since the end of May. So my name is Claudia Haynes and I'm the CEO here at KBFPC. Over 20 years ago, I came to the clinic at a life-changing moment, right? And since then, all of my family members have received services from, learned from, or volunteered with KBFPC. We're embedded in the community. Thank you. And so I'm part of a small but mighty team that's pictured here. And there are currently 12 adult staff in the clinic and youth programs, 4 teen peer educators who aren't pictured here, a great board of directors, and several additional volunteers who support our programs in many, many ways. And so for almost 40 years now, next year will be 40 years, with, I would say, innovation and compassion. We've built a legacy of trust by empowering individuals to make informed decisions about the trajectory of their reproductive lives. Really, really fundamental. So we have long realized that the future of equitable, accessible healthcare is really embedded in our local communities, right? Meeting clients in the places where they work, live, and raise families. So there are two main challenges to our reality of these now extremely limited options: geography and funding. So travel to Homer from around Kachemak Bay or even further up the peninsula is expensive and time consuming. People often can't afford the transportation or the time off of work, frankly. So at the same time, to continue providing low and no cost services to clients who are under or uninsured, as well as expand existing services and create new infrastructure beyond the doorstep of our Homer clinic is expensive. But we have a plan. So in collaboration with regional partners like Megan's Place, the South Peninsula Hospital, even Kenai Public Health, and more to come, our remote services initiative is going to bring reproductive health care to where people need us most. So in the Homer clinic, via mail out services, and now regional pop-up clinics further afield. And we're starting to test those at Megan's Place in the coming weeks. So this expanded model will help us grow our number of client encounters, sustaining our beloved Homer clinic and health education programs with increased earned revenue and even more public grant dollars. So our agility as a standalone organization and our decades of expertise empowers us to put into action creative approaches, really creative. Many of you have been a part of those creative approaches, right? To overcoming geographic disparities and other access issues in our region. So we are going to continue providing inclusive, accessible healthcare no matter what, right? 5 minutes is fast. Can you show me the next slide? And I wanted to show you this picture because philanthropic contributions like ours from individuals is really critical. And this is a kind of a pie. It shows where we were last year. And this is the gap that we need to fill as the only standalone clinic with these remote services. And so we're a standalone clinic doing the work of a national movement, right? And we need your help. So this collective contribution tonight will support access to clinic services for more people, including beyond the clinic's doorstep. Our direct financial support as a whole group will help offset operating expenses, diversify our revenue, and demonstrate community commitment that's vital for more public funding. So I want to end by thanking you for all your generosity, giving to each organization that's pitched each quarter and throughout the year. So thank you.
Okay, everyone. So just for the people in the room, what we noticed last time with the Q&A session is any conversation in the room, this whole room is mic'd. So any conversation in the room is really confusing and makes the people on Zoom not able to hear the actual Q&A. So like I know we're all ready to socialize, but let's do that after we finish with the meeting. And we've got the space for a little bit afterwards. And we'll just focus on Q&A for the next couple of minutes. So I'm imagining there's questions for both Jana and Claudia. So we'll popcorn. I think Jen can help us with knowing who's on Zoom and then who's got questions in the room. Is it? Yeah, and so on Zoom, if you could use the raise a hand feature, Jen will then let you know when it's time to unmute your mic, and we'll have questions. So do we have a question in the room? Okay, Ingrid.
Okay, so I understand and realize the sense of urgency and the priority of the ask for family planning. And I was wondering, just in general, we kind of like wrap our hands around projects, like specific end result projects. So is there any way for you to like word it in a way that it seems like, I know you're expanding of services, so is it like a hiring of a person or equipment, or is there anything that you could like help like specify in a small?
Yeah.
I'm so bad at wording questions this
No, I-
night.
I get what you're
Okay.
asking. And so I would say if, $15,000 would pay for about 6 months or so of pop-up clinics with this new model.
Okay,
And we got funding for a pilot project that's gonna last about 6 months, which is helping us work out some of the logistics of providing pop-up clinics and mail-out services. And even co-location up in Kenai, that's kind of a separate piece. But we're using staff that we have, just using them differently. If we started to see a huge volume, we might add a different person, but it would pay for staffing, travel for pop-up clinic sites, supplies, medical tests. Depending on the site, we'll offer different services.
okay. That's really helpful. So
Yeah.
for me to think about this amount of money will give you 6 months of like a traveling services with all kind of like a whole package that can go
Yeah.
and will support you for about 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that.
that.
Thank you.
Claudia, I have a kind of follow-up question to that. I wanted to ask, is there anyone with their hands up online already?
No.
Oh, okay. So my follow-up question, and I think you all know, I think family planning is near and dear to my heart too. But I did just wonder, I've been watching Facebook and I recognize that a lot of the new services are not going to be in the defined 100 Women Who Care area south of Milchik. And I just wondered if can you speak to that? And then the other part, could you just elaborate? You comparing 2022's budget to 2023 so far. What's your projected income for 2020?
You want me to come up there?
Mhm.
I would say, so thank you for paying attention on social media about what we have going on. I would say the reason you've seen so much about the co-location up in Kenai is that is the first part of the pilot project that's rolled out. It took about 3 months to get approval through the Office of Population Affairs, which runs our Title X program, to get permission to do clinic services outside of our building. And so we had to go through that. So we've teamed up with Kenai Public Health, who has a severe shortage of reproductive health nurses up there because of the directions they've had to go. So that's the first piece. We're currently working out the logistics with Megan's Place to test out the pop-up clinic model there. Dr. Holmes, sitting in the back, is actually going to be testing that out. And then we'll roll out other pieces from there. What was formerly Homeless Connect, that will be one of the places that we're looking at testing out some of these pieces too. So it's just that the pilot project literally started at the beginning of November. And then the mail out services are following up too. And then the graph that you saw is the actual income from 2022, fiscal year 2022. And the other graph was what is projected for this year, the actual plus what we're projecting. Thanks, good questions.
I see that Rika has her hand up for a question. If you want to unmute.
Yes, I have a question for Janet.
That's Kathy. Yeah.
Hi, Janet. I'm wondering, could you tell me, are there any other places in town for people to do what they do at Spark right now? Like, for instance, are there any other places for indoor walking or parent-toddler play groups, pickleball?
I don't know about indoor walking because we don't have shopping malls, which is what it seems like people use other places. Pickleball is done at the Herc building, but they only have a certain amount of space, and the pickleball that's being done at the Spark is compromised because the floor doesn't handle the pickleball, the actual ball, but the new floor would, which would give the pickleball people the opportunity to have several more courts if they ever had a actual tournament here, which they have had, but they were limited to the number of them. And as far as the tots and parents, I can't imagine, at one point they did one, I don't think so. And at one point they did it in the Herc building, decades ago. But I don't know of anywhere else that is currently available. Do you know anywhere else?
No, but just to kind of give a little, our most recent report from Mike Ilg is all of the gym spaces in this community are consumed
Mhm.
basically 24/7.
Well, just looking at the schedule for that, and like right now, we're trying to plan contra dances and trying to figure out where we can have them again. And we're thinking going to the Spark because that's the one gym that's still available. You know, as they're refinishing the floors, they just refinished the floor at the middle school and the high school is about to be, and they're becoming very protective of their wooden floors.
Thank
Does that
you.
answer, Kathy? Does that answer?
Yep.
And Rika, did you have a question?
I do. I mean, this is really tough. I mean, the two proposals are really, really strong and much needed. So I'm trying to weigh what 100 women, that amount, the tipping point for timing, and like what will push the Spark project towards the funding and timing. So I was just wondering, I think you did, Janet, tell us what that remaining part is, the remaining amount is?
Let
Are
me
we
try.
gonna move the
better.
needle?
Yes, we are moving the needle, because at this point, they need 96,000. The two grants that they have waiting on them right now towards the future, they have a 25,000 from Homer Foundation and 25,000 from Rasmussen, but they're not due till later. And so right now, from my memory, I think it's 45,000 in their account, 7,000 more pledged from businesses. They don't know what percentage will come from the local labor, but they said historically, the Murdoch Foundation accepts local labor as part of it if they have a history of it happening. And since that's what created the Spark to begin with, they have that history. Plus they have a history of donated hours of equipment and materials. So this 14,000 would, or 10, 12, 13, 14,000, it's hard to say exactly how much, but it would push it over. And it's a mid-December date for the Murdoch to say, yes, we will put you on our agenda for January. I was told that Murdoch doesn't do a site visit unless they really like the proposal, and they've already done the site visit. Okay, so, but I don't know what it means. If they don't get it in January, they won't submit it, I don't think, unless you have a proof of approximately 40% pledge. Does that answer you, Rika, wherever you are?
Well, it does. It's still really tough. I don't know what, yeah, and it's that tipping point and needle.
Great,
Yeah.
thanks, Rika. And Karen, you have a question?
For Claudia,
Okay.
just to go back to actually what you were asking, because our area is usually, as you said, is Nanochek down and not up in Kenai. And I know that's a pilot project, and I don't know where Megan's place is located, but are you saying that after the Kenai branch, that it would all be coming in the area that we generally say is the area we're looking at?
So Megan's place is the needle exchange that
Oh,
happens.
okay,
at
I'd
the
forgotten
on
it's the name change, yeah.
And so we feel like that's a really good place to test out some of the logistics and a population that really needs the services that we're able to offer. The Kenai piece is one part of the project because it's allowing us to test out the co-location model so that we can drop into a clinic space, provide services, and pop back out without having to invest lots of money in infrastructure. And it helps us add to our array of many, many partners. The funding we got for the pilot project ends at the end of March. And so our job is to figure out two things. One, what all of those pieces work the best, what the community responds to the best, and find the funding that will help us continue that work after that.
But are you saying that this money would go partially to continue to get something going, continue up in Kenai, in addition to moving some of the funds with work, south of?
We would easily spend the money that this group generates on the southern part of the Kenai Peninsula. Yeah. The mail out services is the third arm, yeah.
And then Ingrid had a question.
I have a question for you, Janet.
Okay.
Okay, so no, you don't have to stand up there. It's a quick one. So I am thinking of when I'm looking at your timeline and there's an emergency need to 40%.
Oh, it's not an emergency.
Or a
It just-
timeline
it-
for-
It helps it.
Right,
There's
so
no emergency.
that's like how I feel about all me financially. So after the 40%, is there a plan for the other 60%?
I had a slide in there that showed it.
Okay,
The planning is for a high, well, the planning, the rest of it, there's 50,000 that will hopefully come from Homer Foundation and from Rasmussen. And then there's a higher percentage from in-kind donations, and then business direct donations, and also people direct donations.
and you
So
already have the business.
there was a
of
slide in there that I flew by, because I was
Okay.
trying to stick to 5 minutes.
Gotcha. And the business and personal donations are already,
Right now, they're already flowing in. If I remember correctly, I think it's at 129,000 of it would come from financial business donations and personal donations.
okay,
The original construction of Spark, 500,000 of it was cash donated
right,
out of 800,000. The other 300,000 was in kind. If my slide memory.
right.
So they do
I
have-
feel like
They have a very
donations,
accurate plan.
right,
It's just that this was a good chance of helping them to get that 240,000
Okay.
committed now. And get it, you know,
Right.
and then they can go to the business and say, we need your match.
okay,
But I think Murdoch is, I've been told, a very business oriented organization. They aren't just, you know, oh, emotional, here's my heart.
Yeah.
Give you money. And they want to see a business plan, they want to see a plan. And they figured out that if they have 40% upfront at the beginning, then they're more likely to get the 60 rest of it. They need.
okay.
Somehow they have figured out that is,
They're the people that know those things.
not me. I can just like, yeah.
Question for you. So is there a plan B that people have in mind if this?
No, they're going
grant
with this
doesn't-
plan. Oh, I think
doesn't
the
come through the
plan B
Murdoch?
is to keep working to get the 40%. Because Murdoch, they would put it in front of the board a different month. If it doesn't make it in January, they would wait, you know, they're not giving up on this. You know, the Murdoch doesn't take it to the point of a site visit and then drop it if you don't have the 40% in a timely fashion. Does that make sense?
So Murdoch is still the.
They're gonna be the 50%, their goal, the goal is that's gonna be 50% and the in-kind and direct donations will be the other 50.
But at some point, would they say, hey, enough is enough?
Oh, no,
I think-
no,
I
because.
mean,
think it's
are we talking 10 years?
No,
20
no,
years,
I
6
think
months?
it's gonna happen sooner. Deb, do you have any idea of that? I don't think that,
I can't remember on the original plan. I do remember there was a hard push to get the 40% on the original building of the Spark, a hard push to get that. And there was a deadline with that, but I don't know if that was because wheels were in motion. I don't know the logistics of it.
yeah, and I can't speak to a time frame. I'm sorry, I don't know that.
It
I mean,
just would seem at
They're not
some
gonna,
point.
I think that there's so much, if you look at the schedule, there's so many people vested in the Spark right now that they're not gonna not let this happen. The people that walk there are the ones that have talked to me lately, that have had knee surgery, hip surgery, back surgery, strokes. You know, it means a lot to them to go rehab there in the winter, to be able to have your surgery and go there.
My only concern is going back to something Rika said, which is, at some point, seems to be very timely at
No,
but then let's just say, then forever and a day, you can spend forever to get the
Oh,
money.
no, there's a time, they're gonna.
That's what I'm
No,
saying,
there's-
there is a certain
Well, they
amount
have
of
to
sense of
60%.
timeliness.
Once they get the 40, then they have to dive in, and the slide that was up there showed you their plan of where to get the other 60. No, it's not like a forever, no, they have to get it, yeah.
Yeah,
No, Murdoch, they don't just say, here's your money. listen up."
and we'll go forever,
No,
and there
no,
is a certain
No,
amount. of
I just
time
don't know the
timeliness.
answer to
Okay.
what that.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for the great questions. I don't see any more online.
I don't see any.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Does anyone have any like vastly different burning question for tonight? Because I think we could just move to the vote. So anyone who hasn't done this before, who's in the room, you can go to the email that has a Zoom link and click on it, but make sure that your volume is down on your phone, or else we'll get a lot of feedback.
If you're looking at it right now on your phone, do you still have to go to your email? Is that
No,
what you're?
if you're already in Zoom, we'll be able
Yes,
to
good.
pull up that.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're in Zoom, then fine. And then I'll queue up. Oh, yeah, I just realized that. I kept feeling like there's a part missing. Kyra is quickly creating the.
I'm sorry, are we voting now? And if we are, where?
Pardon?
Are we voting now?
No, Kyra's just creating it. I felt like there was
Thank
a
you.
missing piece this morning. We're just creating the quiz right now. It's very
Okay,
quick.
thank you.
Oh, isn't it the truth?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I thought you meant like. No, they have to raise the
Yeah.
value in a certain time. It's just not forever. No,
Yeah.
they have, I thought you meant.
Yeah.
It's just this allows it to happen faster by getting it. You know, faster. So, you know, because they have to do it, they don't show us a bit.
So. There it is. Thanks. I'm always amazed.
I know, it just, the technology gets in there. Absolutely. Yes. Oh my gosh, you can see it happening in real time. It's like a boat. I don't think we're supposed to see it every time.
Once you vote, can those of us that are not on Zoom, can we just close it down?
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks, Kyra. Sorry about that.
Okay. I'm just. Whip it out of it.
I didn't get it.
Here. You can just rip it off.
Right.
Pamela,
Mhm.
this is from someone who can't be here.
Oh, great.
Yes, it-
That has me still on.
That's it. Oh, okay. Okay. Okay.
Is that even wrong?
Yeah, the 36 people have voted. Are we able to show it?
We can.
But that's.
Yeah, I think 36 people is about how many we thought. So it looks like our checks this time are going to go to Spark, and the checks can just be written to Spark, just the 5 initials. So,
Thank you.
and of course, KBFPC can also receive funds if it, but who wants to write 2 checks, to bring a box, you can pop your checks in here. And then anyone who is mailing it in, it's the same address we've been using for quite a while now. 100 Women Who Care of Art Shop Gallery, 202 West Pioneer Street A, Homer 99603. You can also walk your check in too, which lends to some fun earring purchases in my history. Okay, thank you, everybody.
There's a real good deal on.
Yeah.
If an agency gets money, they have to wait however many years before they can pitch again.
Yeah.
If they don't get it today, can they pitch again in the next round?
Yeah, and some organizations that has worked in their favor because they get secondary donations on the day that they're not successful, and then they end up getting the whole thing later. Yeah, there's no restriction on pitching as often as you like until you've won it.
Right.
Yeah.
See you again soon, Flavia.
Yes.
Venmo.
Yes, please.
My Venmo is Katrina Bites, but I would prefer that just for people who cannot write a check, like if they're out of town.
Okay.
Because I think I'm gonna run into like tax issues with receiving a lot of Venmo. So I was just trying to be creative for people who are out of town.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll just mail it. Put it in my check.
As a millennial.
Oh, no, the reason we can't is because we're not, it's not profit, we don't have a bank account. And it's going to a different recipient each time. We, like, if anyone.
Is it
thinks
safe
that
to
we
write
had a write a check, we would love that. I think it's smart to write it. Also, is it's. If you want to have it. Yeah, that's just not it. You know what?
Yeah.
Yes.
Three years.
I know, but they have to say
Right now.
I can't believe I didn't make you a host because you couldn't earn monitoring. Oh, I wasn't. I was just wanting to make sure that I would say that.
What are you doing?
To you. Oh.
Yeah.
We covered the. I don't know.
What was happening
Maybe not. No, that's on my computer.
Yeah, but I still wouldn't have seen it.
No, I think I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
look at that. Oh, exactly. It's saying it ran into a problem. Yeah, I can check. Somebody hired for that. He was gonna.
I appreciate you with that. I was big too.
There is nothing else.
I do.
It's a lot.
I'm stealing your pen.
Oh, yeah, for that, yeah, that, yeah, but that.
You're never gonna forget.
Like, that was so great.
It's so true, right?
How are you? Just got me.
Let's see if I can land it.
See if I can land it. Can you close it down?
Yeah. My favorite, my first day back, and I have a frozen shoulder because somebody gave me a no shot, supine in the shoulder.